Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, June 8th. I'm Tori here with Jeff, and of course Al joins us from home. This is a crazy scene that we saw over the weekend. We saw some of the largest peaceful protests yet all over the nation, including in Washington, D.C., where the street leading to the White House was painted with Black Lives Matter in giant yellow letters. I want to let people know what that was, just so you know, because we never explained it. That was, I believe, in England, and they were rolling a statue of a slave trader, into the bay, into the water, and pushed it into the water. I wanted to give some context to what we were seeing here. Demonstrations over George Floyd's death also spread all over the world, in London, Milan, Brussels, Australia. A lot of focus here in America has now been on defunding the police. The mayor in Minneapolis was greeted with chants to go home by protesters after he rejected calls to defund the police there. And we're going to explain what defunding the police means, because it's not disbanding the police. That's very important to say. But later on Sunday, a veto-proof majority of the Minneapolis City Council pledged to defund and dismantle the city's police department. But the mayor still doesn't agree. Here's what he said about it this morning on Good Morning America.
Am I for entirely abolishing the police department? No, I'm not. I support people expressing their First Amendment rights, even when it means that they're calling me out. So is it difficult? Yes, of course it's difficult. But let's remember, this is not about me. This is about the tragic murder of George Floyd by a police officer. We need to be grounded in that as we move forward.
We'd love to know your feelings on that Minneapolis mayor, because he was sobbing at the casket of George Floyd earlier at the funeral. So what does defunding the police mean? Jeff and I were talking about this earlier. Let's make sure we make this clear. According to the Black Lives Matter co-founder, it means shifting money away from the police and instead supporting people and services in marginalized communities. So what do we do here at DBL? We want to know what you think. Do you think police departments should be defunded and overhauled? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. We're going to welcome our wonderful guest, Al. Al, how are you?
What's going on, Jeff? I always like to see the 1 second delay when Jeff switches cameras. It makes my day.
But Al, well, first of all, I just like seeing your face. I was going to make fun of you like you did me, Al. I was going to compliment you. But listen, that's how I know. There's little tally lights to give a little behind the scenes thing. I don't look at the tally lights. I wait for my face to be sideways, and I'm like, oh, this is my camera.
I'm on the right one.
All right, but yeah, we got some serious business to talk about here. I think we need to go a little bit further down this rabbit hole and talking about what defunding the police actually means, because there are people out there thinking that we don't need police in general. We should kind of police ourselves, and to me, that's insane. So I definitely want to go further down this rabbit hole and know that that is not the same thing.
Yeah, and to be very clear, and Al, I want to get your take on this. Just imagine an NYPD, right? They spend $6 billion on the NYPD. That's more than like education. That's more than communications. That's more than community policing. All of that combined. So what we're saying is spend more on the community and less on the cops, and you might have less crime. What do you think about that, Al?
I agree, and Jeff, I agree with you too, and I know that's like not a very strong stance to take, but you guys, we have to remember that the police have been defunded before. A couple of years ago in New York City, I don't know if you guys remember that viral video of that rat that was dragging that piece of pizza down the steps on the subway. At that exact same time we're watching that video, the New York City was defunded. It doesn't mean that it's not a dismantling of the police, so don't let that word scare you. It just means distributing the wealth into the community, and you guys have to remember, crime comes from somewhere. It's when people feel desperate. There are very few people that leave their house like, I'm just gonna snatch a purse today. People do that because they are desperate. So when you have other programs and other places for people to go to feel dignified, to earn a living, to take care of their family, they'll usually use them.
Yeah, I agree. So let us know what you guys think about defunding the police. Again, we want to make it clear, we're not disbanding anything. We're just trying to put more money into the community. And the vote right now is no. 57% do you think police departments should be defunded and overhauled? So no, 57%. So not a strong majority.
Again, I think people are confused, Tori, on what that is. Maybe they're not, but for me this morning when we were talking about in the morning meeting, I was like, let's be very clear before someone else spoke up. So I think it's on a lot of people's minds.
And I'm glad DBL's doing that. We're letting you know what we're actually discussing instead of just moving on.